Illegal dumping is a big environmental problem, and solving it means making legal waste disposal more accessible. Normal waste management facilities won't take certain types of waste, and incinerators charge a lot. Smaller waste processing facilities serve as a sort of stopgap, but even they can't process some waste, meaning some of it inevitably goes to illegal waste handlers. One environmental official says smaller facilities must be legally recognized so that the waste they process can be tracked and costs must be brought down. Let's hear what the waste management facilities and the environmental authorities have to say in our Sunday special report.
In a bid to stop illegal dumping of waste, New Taipei City Government officials have set up a checkpoint along the Xibin Road section of Provincial Highway 61. 没有单啊，这样单用过啦。那为什么用过来这边？单不是你刷的吗？ The driver of a dump truck takes out a delivery slip showing the time he entered and left the quarry he was sent to. According to the data he provided, his truck bed should be empty, but it's filled with waste.
本来这台车要开回去哪里？这边休息，然后连带就被刷进去了。那它是11:45分出厂的，对，但它1:43已经进厂了。是。那现在我们在这边的时间是2点，刚刚截图连接2:08，所以它这样已经进厂，已经视为无效连单。你看它的路线有个台61线，所以这个是它必经的路是没有问题的，只是它已经进厂。
As for the waste is to be taken to, the driver has no answer. Waste dumped illegally from trucks like this is just the tip of the iceberg of issues officials have identified. Here along Dingfu Road in New Taipei's Lingkou district, fires broke out 2 nights in a row in July 2022. Authorities later discovered the fires were caused by someone illegally burning waste. The following month, the same person burned waste wooden pallets. Officials were able to trace the incidents back to the person responsible through images from surveillance cameras.
像这个案子，其实我们一开始最辛苦的是要先了解他的作业模式。
The biggest challenge for us at the start of the case was understanding the suspects' work patterns, because to catch them and bring them to justice, we needed evidence. We were trying to figure out when they would dump the waste and burn it. Through aerial photography, we learned that they would bring the waste there in the afternoon after the workday was finished and burn it around 6 or 7 in the evening. After we knew the work pattern, it was time to collect evidence.
The suspect, surnamed Yu, is a contractor who does renovations. Yu had allegedly been taking the waste from his job sites to Dingfu Road and had dug a hole that he filled with waste, reaching the height of a single-story building. Examples of people illegally burning, disposing, or burying waste like this are countless. Household garbage and kitchen waste is quickly handed over to garbage trucks that visit communities across the country. However, disposal of commercial waste depends on the type of waste involved, making for a chaotic situation. Regulations require commercial waste to be first collected by a licensed disposal company and then sent to a waste management facility for sorting. Waste that is non-reusable then gets taken to an incinerator to be burned.
Every time waste is picked up from a factory, it will have a weigh bill, which needs to be registered online. Wherever it goes, from the original factory onward, it gets stamped. When the disposal company takes it into the waste management center, it also gets stamped. This whole process, the whole delivery, can be controlled.
一般状况修缮，对，就像他们墙壁打下来的，一定有那个泥作，还有泥作废料什么的。
This is the waste processing facility in New Taipei's Wugu district. Previously, there was a gravel yard on this site, and it was used both for the collection of gravel and for the brick trade. Later on, the site began accepting waste from home renovations that waste disposal companies reject. Renovators bring the waste here in smaller trucks to be processed. After reusable parts of the waste are removed, the rest gets sent off somewhere else, but where exactly is unclear.
以前这个环保意识没那么抬头的时候呢，
In the past, before people were conscious of environmental concerns, waste would just be dumped wherever there was space for it. It wouldn't be processed. It was like that for a long time, nearly 30 years.
Waste processing facilities like this have the difficult task of handling waste from renovators and construction sites, but they are not legally licensed for the task. In other words, nobody has a clear idea about how much waste they process. Waste that they can't put to reuse must be sent back out and often ends up getting illegally dumped.
蒸马场啦，对外面啦，都1米啦，1米都会收到1000到1500不等的价格啊，对外。
These waste processing facilities typically charge 1,000 to 1,500 NT per meter of truck bed carrying the waste to them. They take in waste from renovators, and after initial processing, they send out what they can't use, if there is some place willing to take it. If nobody can take it, then they send it out on illegal waste dumping trucks. One of those trucks could have a bed as long as 30 to 35 meters, and they charge 40 to 50,000 NT for a full load. Of course, that is much less than what it would cost to have the waste processed legally.
Police officials confirm that some waste processing facilities and construction sites are the source of much of the illegally dumped waste they find. They say that the much cheaper cost of hiring illegal dumpers means some facility operators and contractors are willing to take the risk of getting caught. On the other hand, it also shows that legal waste disposal options are too expensive.
工地出来，我们就会先刷工地这个条码，然后出来到阳光之后，我们会刷这个条码进场。
A GPS-equipped truck loaded with waste and gravel arrives at a facility. After a barcode is scanned, they enter the facility to dump the waste. This is a legal dump site in New Taipei's Yingge district. This facility handles the final sorting of waste from construction sites. Roughly 5% of waste brought here can't be reused and is sent to the incinerator. The problem is that Taiwan's 28 incinerators prioritize residential waste, and commercial waste is often held back. This situation means that waste processing facilities have to compete to have their waste accepted at incinerators.
现在问题是北区，不要说新北啦，现在桃园更惨，桃园是根本就是有炉子，不管多少钱他们就去。
The problem now is that in the north, not just in New Taipei, but even more so in Taoyuan, they send everything to the incinerator no matter how much it costs.
With incinerators in northern Taiwan insufficient to meet the demand, waste must be sent to central and southern Taiwan to be burned. This causes the cost of handling commercial waste to rise even further.
那除了台北市之外，
Outside of Taipei, the cost for sending things to the incinerator is roughly 7.5 NT per kilogram minus the transport fee. If you add in the transport fee, it works out to about 12 NT per kilogram or 1,200 NT per ton. In Taoyuan, from what I've heard, you're looking at between 18 NT and 25 NT per kilogram.
With the cost of incinerating waste so high, going through legal channels to deal with waste is often difficult and prohibitively expensive. This has indirectly contributed to the perpetuation of illegal waste disposal.
他们其实都各司其职啊，哪边有需求，只要有钱、有意图、想法。
Actually, these illegal disposal companies are just doing their job. Wherever there is a need, wherever there is money and intent, a desire to avoid legal disposal and to keep more of the disposal costs, then people will go out and work with these illegal dumpers.
Inadequacies in the waste disposal industrial chain mean that illegal dumping is likely to continue unabated. Solving the issue means legal recognition of the smaller waste processing facilities handling unwanted construction waste so that the waste they process can be registered online. However, for such facilities to be legally recognized as waste management centers involves many hurdles, particularly in acquiring land.
我们要申请这个所谓的处理厂啊什么的，那个是很难，高难度。
It's quite difficult for us to apply for recognition as a waste management facility. The rights to use the land for that are very difficult to acquire because of zoning. We have to follow zoning regulations. For example, if we apply as something related to environmental protection, it has to be land designated for that. Otherwise, we need to apply as a construction site or an industrial site. But it's hard to acquire those rights.
那目前呢，就是他们是以清除业者的清运业者一个。
They currently operate as waste cleanup companies or waste removal companies, which is also under our administration. Waste removal companies are defined as those that do simple on-site processing of waste. In some counties and municipalities, we provide guidance to help them transition to legally recognized waste management facilities.
In New Taipei, the city government has been actively helping waste processing facilities make this transition since 2020. This process involves purchasing equipment and acquiring land.
目前大概有41家。
We currently have 41 facilities doing simple waste processing. When we help them transition to legally recognized facilities, we require that they provide all information so that it can be checked and require surveillance cameras to be installed. This lets us trace all the waste that goes through the facility.
In 2021, annual generation of industrial waste in Taiwan hit a record high of 21.59 million tons. Waste processing facilities across the country cause an industry to strive toward cutting waste production.
以前工地为了赶工
In the past, workers at construction sites were in a hurry and they would just throw away all their waste together. Now we teach them to separate what they can. There are some manufacturers who will recycle drywall panels, and some materials can be reused. You don't need to bring that stuff to us here.
Everyone loves a newly renovated home, but nobody wants their old furnishings to end up illegally dumped on someone's farmland or somewhere else it shouldn't be. Through the persistent efforts of waste processing facilities and environmental protection officials, hopefully one day illegal dumping will be a thing of the past.